So, what
Natalie
are your
Brooks
thoughts
adjusted
on the
the
quarterly
files on her
projections?
desk and
I think
took
we
a
need to
deep
adjust our
breath.
strategy for the next quarter
For
based
years
on
at
these
Pierce
trends.
Industries had given her something precious that money could not buy. Peace of mind. The technology company
You look
buzzed with
absolutely
energy
stunning
and
tonight.
innovation.
I've been waiting.
More
You always know how to
importantly,
make me feel
it was a
special.
place
I'm
where
so
she
glad
felt
we're here
protected.
together.
Her boss, Owen Pierce, had created an environment where respect was not just expected but enforced with iron determination. Owen stood tall at 6 feet 2 inches with sandy brown hair that caught the light just right. His blue eyes were sharp and observant, missing nothing that happened in his company. He wore tailored suits that spoke of success without being flashy. What mattered most to Natalie was not his looks or his wealth. It was the fact that Owen Pierce was, as everyone believed, completely uninterested in romantic relationships with women. The evidence seemed obvious to everyone in the office. Owen spent most of his time with his business partner, James Sullivan. They had built Pierce Industries together from a small startup in a garage to a multi-million-dollar corporation. James was married with 2 children, but that did not stop the office rumors. People whispered about the closeness between Owen and James, the way they finished each other's sentences, how they traveled together on business trips. Natalie had never questioned these assumptions. In fact, she was grateful for them. They made her feel safe in a way she had not felt since before Ryan Mitchell entered her life. Ryan had been her supervisor at her previous job at Horizon Marketing. He started with small compliments about her presentation skills. Then came the comments about her hair, her smile, the way she dressed. Ryan found excuses to be near her constantly. He would lean over her desk, supposedly to check her work, but really to invade her space. His hand would rest on her shoulder just a bit too long. He would brush against her in the narrow hallway even when there was plenty of room to pass. The final incident happened on a Thursday evening. Most of the team had left for a happy hour that Natalie had deliberately avoided. Ryan cornered her in the copy room, blocking the only exit with his body. She could still hear his voice, low and threatening, as he stepped closer. "You know you want this as much as I do. Stop playing hard to get." When he reached for her, Natalie had shoved him with all her strength and ran. She never went back to that office. For months afterward, she barely functioned. Leaving her apartment felt impossible. The idea of interviewing for another job filled her with dread and nausea. What if the next boss was worse? What if she ended up trapped again? But rent needed to be paid and life moved forward whether she was ready or not. When Pierce Industries contacted her for an interview, she almost canceled 3 times. Walking into that interview room took every ounce of courage she possessed. Owen had been different from the first moment. He focused entirely on her qualifications and experience. He asked about her project management skills, her ability to work under pressure, her knowledge of digital marketing trends. Not once did his gaze make her uncomfortable. Not once did he say anything inappropriate. At the end of their conversation, he offered her the job immediately, and Natalie felt like she could finally breathe again. Working for Owen had been healing. She learned to trust again, to believe that professional relationships could be exactly that and nothing more. Owen had zero tolerance for harassment. She watched him fire a senior executive once for making suggestive comments to an intern. That single action earned her complete loyalty and trust. Sophie Chen, her closest friend in the HR department, rushed into her office on a Wednesday afternoon. Her expression made Natalie's stomach drop. "Have you checked the meeting schedule for today?" Sophie asked, slightly out of breath. Natalie pulled up her calendar. The words on the screen made her heart stop. Partnership discussion with Mitchell Consulting Group at 2:30. Attendees included Owen Pierce, James Sullivan, and Ryan Mitchell. Ryan Mitchell. The man who had destroyed her sense of safety was going to be in this building in less than 3 hours. "Are you okay?" Sophie moved closer, her hand reaching out. "You look like you might faint." "Fine. Just surprised." Natalie's voice sounded hollow even to her own ears. Sophie knew some of what had happened at Horizon Marketing, though not every terrible detail. She squeezed Natalie's hand with sympathy and concern. "I can create a reason for you to leave early if you want." Pride won over fear. Natalie refused to let Ryan Mitchell control her life anymore. This was her workplace now. She would simply avoid him. The meeting was in the executive conference room on the 10th floor. She worked on the 7th floor. Ryan would never even know she was in the building. The plan worked perfectly until 2:15 when Owen called her. "Natalie, I need you to bring the annual growth reports to the conference room. The Mitchell team wants to review our expansion data." Her mouth went dry. "Of course, Mr. Pierce. Right away." Natalie gathered the reports with trembling hands. She could manage this. She would drop off the documents quickly and leave before anyone really noticed her. Ryan might not even recognize her after 4 years. People changed. Hair grew longer. Styles evolved. Maybe she would be invisible to him. The conference room had floor-to-ceiling windows that offered a clear view inside. Natalie could see Owen and James seated on one side of the long table. Across from them sat 3 people from Mitchell Consulting, including the one face that still appeared in her nightmares. Ryan looked older. Lines creased his forehead that had not been there before. But his smile was the same. That confident, predatory expression that made her skin crawl. He was laughing at something James had said, completely comfortable, as if he had not traumatized someone badly enough to make them quit their career and fear professional spaces for almost a year. Natalie used the side entrance near the refreshment area. She could place the reports on the table near the wall and leave without walking through the main seating area. Her hands shook as she set down the folders. "Thank you, Natalie." Owen's voice was calm and steady as always. She mumbled something in response, keeping her head down, and turned toward the door. "Natalie? Natalie Brooks?" Ryan's voice froze her in place like ice water in her veins. She did not turn around. She did not respond. She just kept walking. "Wait. I know that's you. Natalie Brooks from Horizon Marketing. What are the chances of running into you here?" She made it out of the conference room and back to her office where she shut the door and locked it. Her hands shook so badly she could barely hold her phone. A text from Owen appeared on her screen. "Are you all right? You left very quickly." Before she could answer, another message came through from an unknown number. "Surprised to see me? We should catch up properly. You look even better than I remember." Ryan had gotten her personal number somehow. Natalie blocked the contact immediately, but the damage was done. Her safe space had been violated. The sanctuary she had built over 4 years suddenly felt fragile and exposed like paper walls in a storm. The afternoon moved at a crawling pace. Every sound in the hallway made Natalie jump. Every footstep outside her door sent her heart racing. She kept expecting Ryan to appear, to force another conversation, to invade her space the way he always had. When 5 o'clock arrived, she considered leaving, but the parking garage suddenly seemed dangerous. What if he was waiting there? What if he followed her home? At 5:30, Owen appeared in her doorway. His presence was solid and reassuring in a way that made her want to cry with relief. "The meeting concluded an hour ago. They have left the building." He studied her face carefully, his blue eyes taking in details she wished she could hide. The tension in her shoulders. The way her hands gripped the edge of her desk. The fear she could not quite mask. "Natalie, if something happened that I should know about, you can tell me. My door is always open." She nodded but could not find her voice. Owen waited another moment, then left quietly, respecting her silence even though she could see the concern in his expression. That Friday, Pierce Industries hosted its summer celebration on the rooftop terrace. The event was mandatory for all employees, a chance to celebrate the company's record profits and strengthen team bonds. Natalie wore a simple green dress and stayed close to Sophie, trying to blend into the background of conversations and laughter. Everything was fine until she saw Ryan step out of the elevator. He should not be here. The Mitchell Consulting deal was still being negotiated. There was no reason for him to attend an internal Pierce Industries celebration. But there he was, apparently invited by someone in the sales department who thought it would strengthen the business relationship. Ryan's eyes scanned the crowded terrace and locked onto Natalie. Recognition and something darker flickered across his face. He smiled and started walking in her direction with deliberate purpose. Panic flooded through her system like ice water. Sophie had gone to get drinks. James and his wife were on the opposite side of the terrace. Owen was near the bar, surrounded by board members engaged in serious conversation. There was nowhere to hide. Nowhere to run. The terrace had only one exit and Ryan was between her and the elevator. Ryan cut through the crowd, his intention clear in every step. Natalie's eyes darted around desperately and landed on Owen. He had stepped away from the board members for a moment, checking his phone with a drink in his other hand. He was alone. Without thinking, driven by pure instinct and desperation, Natalie crossed the distance between them. Her heart pounded so hard she thought it might break through her ribs. Owen looked up just as she reached him, surprise flickering across his features. Before he could speak, before she could lose her nerve or think about what she was doing, Natalie sat down on his lap. Owen froze completely. His entire body went rigid. The drink in his hand stopped halfway to his mouth. She felt his sharp intake of breath, felt his heart start to race against her back through the fabric of his suit jacket. "Please." The word came out as a desperate whisper, so quiet only he could hear. "Just pretend this is normal. Please." She felt the exact moment Owen understood. His gaze tracked across the terrace and found Ryan, who had stopped about 15 feet away. Ryan stood frozen, staring at them with his mouth slightly open and shock written across his face. What happened next shocked Natalie more than anything she had ever experienced in her life. Owen's arm came around her waist, firm and possessive, pulling her closer against his chest. His other hand moved to rest on her knee, the touch territorial and deliberate. He leaned forward slightly, his breath warm against her ear as he spoke loud enough for Ryan to hear. "You are trembling. Should I ask who that man is or should I have security remove him from this event immediately?" The word sent electricity through Natalie's entire body. This was not pretend. The tension in Owen's muscles, the possessive way he held her, the dangerous edge in his voice, all of it was completely real. Ryan's confidence visibly crumbled. His eyes moved from Natalie to Owen's hand on her knee and back to their faces. Color drained from his cheeks. "I did not realize you two were together. Now you do." Owen's voice could have cut glass. "Was there something you needed?" "No, I just wanted to say hello to an old colleague." Ryan's smile was forced and brittle. "I will leave you two alone." He turned and walked away quickly, disappearing into the crowd and then toward the elevator. Natalie sat frozen on Owen's lap, barely breathing. She should move. She should apologize and explain and get up immediately. But Owen's arm was still around her waist. His hand was still on her knee. And she could feel his heartbeat racing against her spine in a rhythm that matched her own. "Natalie." Owen's voice was rough, strained in a way she had never heard before. "You need to get up now." But something in his tone suggested he did not actually want her to move at all. The tension in his body told a different story than his words. "I am so sorry." She started to stand. Owen's grip tightened just slightly, keeping her in place. "Do not apologize. Just tell me who he is and why you are afraid of him." "He was my supervisor at my last job." The words tumbled out in a rush. "He would not leave me alone. He cornered me and I had to quit. I thought I would never see him again. Owen was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was low and intense in a way that made her shiver. Has he contacted you since the meeting on Tuesday? He texted me. I blocked the number. She felt Owen's entire body tense with barely controlled anger. Every muscle in his chest and arms went rigid. If he approaches you again, if he contacts you in any way, you tell me immediately. Do you understand? She nodded, still not moving from his lap. The warmth of his body against hers felt safe in a way that made no sense given what she had always believed about him. Natalie. Owen's voice dropped even lower. I need you to stand up now because if you do not, if you stay here one more second, I am going to do something that will make everyone at this company realize I was never what they thought I was. Natalie's breath caught in her throat. What do you mean? Owen's hand moved slightly on her knee, a barely perceptible touch that sent waves of sensation through her entire body. I mean I am going to kiss you right here in front of everyone and then every single person will know the truth. What truth? The words came out as a whisper. That I have wanted you since the day you walked into my office 4 years ago. That letting people think I was unavailable was easier than admitting I was completely obsessed with my assistant. That I have spent more than 1,000 days pretending I did not notice everything about you. He paused and she felt his chest rise and fall with a deep breath. That I am absolutely not safe, Natalie. Not where you are concerned. Not even a little bit. The world tilted on its axis. Everything Natalie thought she knew shattered like glass. Owen Pierce was not unavailable. Owen Pierce wanted her. Had wanted her for 4 years. And she was sitting on his lap at a company party with his hand on her knee while her heart threatened to explode. Stand up. Owen said again, his voice tight with control. Stand up now, Natalie, or stay and accept what happens next. You have 5 seconds to decide. Natalie did not move. 5 seconds passed. Then 10. Then 20. She sat frozen on Owen Pierce's lap while her entire understanding of reality reconstructed itself. The noise of the party faded into background static. All she could feel was the warmth of his body against hers, the steady rhythm of his breathing, the weight of his hand on her knee. Owen made a sound low in his throat, something between a groan and a laugh. You are killing me. He murmured against her ear. Then, with careful deliberation, he stood up, lifting her with him as if she weighed nothing. He set her on her feet and stepped back, putting professional distance between them. His eyes were darker than she had ever seen them, filled with something that made her knees weak. My office. Monday morning at 8. We need to talk. It was not a request. It was a statement of fact. Natalie nodded, unable to form words. She watched him walk away through the crowd, his shoulders tense and his movements controlled. Several people glanced their way with curious expressions, but Owen ignored them all. Sophie appeared at her side moments later with 2 glasses of wine. Did I just see what I think I saw? Her eyes were wide with shock. I do not know what you saw. Natalie's voice sounded strange to her own ears. You sat on Owen Pierce's lap. Sophie's voice dropped to a whisper. Owen Pierce, who everyone thinks is not interested in women. That Owen Pierce. Natalie took one of the wine glasses and drank half of it in one swallow. I need to go home. She left the party without saying goodbye to anyone else. The weekend passed in a blur of confusion and revelation. Every time she closed her eyes, she felt Owen's arm around her waist. Every time she tried to sleep, she heard his voice saying he had wanted her for 4 years. Monday morning arrived too quickly and too slowly at the same time. Monday morning arrived with gray clouds hanging low over the city. Natalie stood outside Pierce Industries for 10 minutes before she found the courage to walk through the glass doors. Her reflection stared back at her from the polished lobby floor, a woman who looked calm on the outside while everything inside felt like chaos, the elevator ride to the 10th floor felt longer than usual. Each floor that passed gave her more time to think, more time to doubt, more time to wonder if she had imagined the intensity in Owen's voice on Friday night. Maybe he had just been playing a role to protect her from Ryan. Maybe she had misunderstood everything, but she had not imagined the way his heart raced against her back. She had not imagined the possessive grip of his hand on her knee or the strain in his voice when he told her to stand up. Owen's assistant was not at her desk yet. The door to his office stood slightly open. Natalie knocked softly, her knuckles barely making a sound against the wood. "Come in." Owen sat behind his desk, but he stood as soon as she entered. He wore a charcoal gray suit with a blue tie that matched his eyes. Those eyes tracked her movement as she closed the door behind her, and the intensity in his gaze made her breath catch. "Sit down, please." Natalie took one of the leather chairs across from his desk. Owen did not sit back down. Instead, he moved around the desk and leaned against it, closer to her now. Close enough that she could smell his cologne, something subtle and expensive. "I owe you an explanation." He started, his voice steady but his hands gripping the edge of the desk behind him. "And an apology. You do not need to apologize." Natalie found her voice. "I jumped on your lap without warning. I put you in an impossible situation." Owen shook his head. "That is not what I am apologizing for. I am apologizing for lying to you for 4 years. Not directly, but by omission. By letting you believe something that was not true." He took a breath and continued. "James Sullivan is my business partner and my best friend. Nothing more. We built this company together and we are close because of that shared history. But the rumors about us being together romantically were never true. I never corrected them because it made my life easier." "Why?" The question came out as a whisper, "Because women in positions of power at this company could work without worrying that I had ulterior motives. Because clients took me more seriously when they thought my personal life was not a distraction. Because it protected me from unwanted attention." He paused and his blue eyes met hers directly. "And because the one woman I actually wanted was someone I could not have." Natalie's heart pounded. "Me? From the moment you walked into my office for that interview, you looked terrified. You sat across from me with your resume in shaking hands and I could see that you were forcing yourself to be there. During the interview, I learned why. You had left your previous job suddenly with no reference. When I asked about it, you gave a vague answer about a hostile work environment." Owen moved slightly, his expression growing darker. "I did some research after I hired you. I learned about Ryan Mitchell. I learned that he had a reputation at Horizon Marketing for inappropriate behavior with female employees. And I understood that you needed a safe place to work." "You knew?" "All this time, I knew you were healing from something. I did not know all the details, but I knew enough to understand that you needed to feel safe. So I let the rumors about James and me continue. I kept my distance professionally. I made sure you never felt uncomfortable or threatened." His voice grew rougher. "But that did not change how I felt. It did not change the fact that I noticed everything about you. The way you bite your lip when you are concentrating. The way you always arrive 15 minutes early. The sound of your laugh when Sophie tells you a joke. I noticed all of it and I wanted all of it and I could not have any of it because you needed safety more than I needed anything else." Natalie stood up slowly. Her legs felt unsteady but she needed to be closer to him. Owen's hands tightened on the edge of the desk. "Friday night when you sat on my lap, every piece of control I have built over 4 years nearly shattered. Having you that close, feeling you tremble against me, knowing that man had hurt you and was trying to do it again." Owen's jaw clenched. "I wanted to destroy him. I wanted to make sure he never came near you again. And I wanted to keep you exactly where you were. I did not move." Natalie said softly. "You told me to stand up and I did not move. I know." Owen's voice dropped to barely above a whisper. "Do you understand what that did to me? What it is still doing to me?" Natalie took another step closer. Owen's breathing changed, becoming faster and shallower. "I spent 4 years believing you were unavailable. That I was safe here because you could never want me the way that men like Ryan did. That I could work without fear because you were different, that I am different. Owen said firmly. What Ryan did to you, the way he made you feel, that is not desire. That is not attraction. That is power and control and violation. What I feel for you is nothing like that. Then what is it? Natalie stood directly in front of him now, close enough to touch. Owen's eyes searched her face. It is wanting to know everything about you. It is respecting your boundaries even when it kills me. It is being willing to wait 4 years or 40 years if that is what you need. It is putting your safety and comfort above everything else, including my own feelings. That he reached out slowly, giving her time to move away. When she did not, his hand cupped her cheek with infinite gentleness. It is this. Being terrified that I will do something wrong or say something that will make you afraid of me. I am not afraid of you. Natalie leaned into his touch. I was afraid of what I did not understand. But I am not afraid of you. What are you afraid of? Owen's thumb traced her cheekbone. That Ryan will come back. That he will not leave me alone now that he knows where I work. That he will ruin this like he ruined everything else. Owen's expression hardened with determination. He will not come near you again. I promise you that. You cannot control what he does. Watch me. Owen's voice carried absolute certainty. I have already contacted our legal team. Ryan Mitchell will not be doing business with Pierce Industries. His company will not have access to this building. And if he contacts you again in any way, we will pursue a restraining order. Natalie's eyes widened. You would do that? I would do anything to protect you. Owen's other hand came up to frame her face. Anything, Natalie. Do you understand that? Before she could answer, her phone buzzed in her pocket. She pulled it out and felt ice water flood her veins. Another message from an unknown number. I know you are with him right now. You think he can protect you, but he cannot. We need to talk face to face like adults. Owen saw the fear in her expression and took the phone from her hand. His face went dark with fury as he read the message. Stay here. He moved toward the door. Where are you going? To handle this permanently, Owen. Natalie grabbed his arm. Please do not do anything that will get you in trouble. He turned back to her and the fierce protectiveness in his eyes took her breath away. That man terrorized you. He made you afraid to work, afraid to live your life. He is doing it again right now. I will not let him continue. Then let me come with you. Let me face him with you beside me instead of running away again. Owen studied her face for a long moment. Are you sure? No. Natalie admitted. But I am tired of being afraid. I am tired of letting him have power over me. Owen took her hand, his grip strong and steady. Then we face him together. But if at any point you want to leave, we leave. Your comfort matters more than anything else. They took the elevator down to the lobby. Owen had already learned from building security that Ryan was waiting in the coffee shop across the street. He had been there since 7:30 that morning, watching the building entrance. The coffee shop was busy with the morning rush. Ryan sat at a corner table with a clear view of Pierce Industries. He stood when he saw them enter together, Owen's hand still holding Natalie's. Natalie, we need to talk alone. No. Owen's voice cut through the ambient noise. You need to listen. You will not contact Natalie again. You will not text her, call her, email her, or come near her. You will not enter Pierce Industries or any property associated with my company. If you violate any of these terms, I will pursue every legal option available to ensure you face consequences. Ryan laughed, but it sounded forced. You cannot tell me what to do. Natalie and I have history. What you have is a pattern of harassment that I have thoroughly documented. Owen's voice remained calm but carried steel underneath. I have statements from 3 other women at Horizon Marketing who experienced similar treatment from you. I have text messages you sent to Natalie that constitute harassment. I have enough evidence to destroy your professional reputation and possibly result in criminal charges. Ryan's face went pale. You are bluffing. Try me. Owen stepped forward slightly, placing himself between Ryan and Natalie. "Test me even once and find out exactly how far I will go to protect the people I care about." The coffee shop had gone quiet. Other customers watched the confrontation with varying degrees of interest and concern. Ryan looked at Natalie, his expression shifting between anger and something that might have been desperation. "I just wanted to reconnect. We were good together once. No." Natalie found her voice, strong and clear. "We were never good together. You made me feel unsafe and small. You used your position to try to control me. That was never about connection. That was about power." She took a breath and continued. "I left Horizon Marketing because of you. I spent months afraid to leave my apartment. I almost gave up on my career entirely. But I survived and I built a new life, and you do not get to take that away from me." Ryan opened his mouth to respond, but Owen cut him off. "This conversation is over. You have been warned. What happens next depends entirely on your choices." They left the coffee shop together. Natalie's hands were shaking, but she felt lighter somehow, as if speaking those words had lifted a weight she had been carrying for years. Back in Owen's office, she finally let the tears come. Owen held her, his arms strong and protective around her. He did not tell her to stop crying or that everything was fine. He just held her and let her release years of fear and anger and pain. When the tears finally stopped, Natalie looked up at him. "Thank you. You do not need to thank me." Owen brushed a strand of hair from her face. "You faced him. You stood your ground. I was just there beside you. That made all the difference. Having you there made me brave enough to finally say what I needed to say." Owen's expression softened. "You were always brave, Natalie. You just needed to remember it." She reached up and touched his face, her fingers tracing the line of his jaw. "What happens now? With us, now we take things at whatever pace you need." Owen's voice was gentle. "No pressure. No expectations. Just honesty and patience and whatever you are comfortable with." "What if I am comfortable with this?" Natalie rose on her toes and kissed him. Owen went still for half a second, then his arms tightened around her and he kissed her back with 4 years of restrained longing. It was gentle and fierce at the same time, full of promise and patience and something that felt like coming home. When they finally pulled apart, both breathing hard, Owen rested his forehead against hers. "I have wanted to do that for so long. 4 years. Natalie smiled. 1461 days. Owen smiled back. "But who was counting?" Natalie laughed, the sound free and genuine in a way it had not been in years. She felt safe. She felt protected. She felt brave enough to believe in love again. Outside the office windows, the gray clouds had started to break apart, letting rays of sunlight through. It felt like a new beginning. Like the end of fear and the start of something beautiful. Ryan Mitchell did not contact her again. Within 2 weeks, his consulting firm lost 3 major clients after Owen quietly shared information about his harassment history with trusted colleagues in the industry. Ryan's professional reputation crumbled, and he eventually left the city entirely. Natalie and Owen took their relationship slowly. He never pushed, never demanded more than she was ready to give. He proved with every action that real love was built on respect and trust and patience. 6 months later, when he asked her to move in with him, she said yes without hesitation. 2 years after that, on the rooftop terrace where everything had changed, Owen got down on one knee in front of all their friends and colleagues. "You jumped into my lap that night to escape fear," Owen said, holding a ring that caught the light. "Will you stay beside me forever and build a life based on love?" "Yes," Natalie answered through happy tears. "Yes to everything." The crowd erupted in cheers. Sophie was crying. James was grinning. And Natalie knew without a doubt that she had found exactly what she had always needed. Not just safety, but genuine love with someone who saw her strength and valued her healing and would stand beside her through anything. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is let yourself be vulnerable enough to trust again. Sometimes taking a leap of faith leads to exactly where you were always meant to be.